Hello everybody and welcome back to Juno New Origins, where I have been able to spend roughly an hour on arrow breaking off camera. Unfortunately, we're going to have to tag in here with the episode because there's only so much time. So we will see how far we get. It's going to be very interesting indeed. We can warp this around. I should have extended these solar panels. I will still do this, but there we go. Excellent. So this is a lot of arrow break passes, right? We knew that that was going to be the case, and for some reason these guys don't want to close. Let me try doing it this way. There we go. Sometimes that happens, and I don't really understand why, but that's fine. So as you can see here, we're down to 1624 kilometers on the apoapsis. We've managed to shave off about 250 kilometers since the end of the last episode, I think. No, actually, like 350 kilometers since the end of the last episode. So that's steady progress. We've also dropped the periapsis by about 5 kilometers, which is a pretty big deal. That means we're spending quite a long time, in comparison, anyway, in the atmosphere. So as you can see here, our temperature is rising on up, and that's going to, I think, breach 70°C. Yep. What is the current peak on that? 75°C? Not quite 76. Okay, beautiful. And now we're down to 1615 kilometers. So yeah, we're definitely seeing some quicker drops of this apoapsis. This is absolutely increased in speed of how quickly this is dropping. So that's a really, really good sign. Unfortunately, we're going to have to drop it by another like 700 kilometers, right? So we've got a long ways to go on that. There is work to be done on this. No doubt about that. But to be honest, this is how arrow breaking works in reality. Usually it's a very large amount of arrow break passes like this. So this is just what actual scientists have to deal with. It's maybe not the most entertaining content in the world, but I mean, you're on my channel, so we kind of expect that here. Let's go ahead and get all of these stowed away, and let's take ourselves another pass. So the current periapsis is showing at 885 kilometers. I want to see on this pass what our actual periapsis ends up being. That'll be interesting. Also, we're down to 1610. So yeah, this apoapsis is definitely dropping very markedly, I will say. On the next pass, I want to see exactly by how much. Is that increasing? That's an interesting question. So we're down to 888, 887, 886, and here's 885. 4, 3, 2, 1, 885 even. Okay. That's great. That means on the next pass, we're probably still going to be on 885 even. The pass after that should go down to 884. So we're down to 1600 kilometers. I think we're losing more than 10 kilometers per pass now. We will definitely verify that on the next pass. So that'll be absolutely wonderful. I'm just going to pull open a bit of a notepad here for some notation on that. So we're at 1597. Let's reopen up our solar panels. 1596. Okay, we're probably going to retain 1596. And let's go ahead and warp around. I'm just going to mark down 1596. Okay, beautiful. We're going to be heading in for another pass, and this pass we're going to be checking to see just how much are we shaving off of the apoapsis on each pass. So there we go. I also want to keep an eye down here as to what our overall periapsis is. Is this going to be 895.0, or is this going to be, or rather 885.0, or is this going to be 884.9? Depending on rounding, it's going to be one of those, I suspect. So let's see. We've already shaved off over 10 kilometers. No, 2 kilometers. Never mind. I looked at that wrong. 2 kilometers makes a lot more sense at this point in the pass. So now it's about 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers. It's definitely over 10 kilometers per pass. Beautiful. That's good to know. Really, really good. We'll figure out exactly what that is in a moment. 884.9. Wonderful. So we're at 1587 right now. 1 more kilometer shaved off, and that'll be the 10-kilometer marker. That's it right there. Okay, that's 11. 12. We gonna get to 13? Yes, that's 13. We might get 14 here. 14. Let's see if we get 15. That would be huge. That would be a 50% reduction. Or rather, a 50% increase on our passes there. That was 15. 15 kilometers. We're not going to get another one, I don't think. 15 is huge. That's a big gain. I thought that felt like that was going faster. So that is absolutely phenomenal. Let's go around for another pass here. Wonderful. So that means in order to completely get rid of this, in theory, we'd be needing like 1,600 passes. It's not going to actually be that much, right? That's absolutely not going to be the case. What we actually need is we need 1581. Hang on. I'm using a calculator here. 1581. And we're just going to assume it's that. It's not quite going to be that. But 1581, and then we're going to need to reduce that down to approximately 900. So that's like 681 divided by 15. That's like 45 additional passes from here. But keep in mind, each pass is getting slightly more efficient. So it's probably going to be fewer than that. The question is by how much? But that's a lot of passes. I'm not going to lie. 45 is still an awful lot. So we're approaching periapsis here. 884.7. Wow. Okay. I'm surprised by 884.7. That's a really, really good sign. I want to check this time on our time to periapsis once we go back in. So we can extend out our solar panels. Once again, I want to check in on how we're doing on power levels. 98%. Okay, so we're doing pretty okay on power levels. Nothing too major there. Although we are experiencing a net power drain, is what that means. But let's warp this right on around, and let's take another pass here. I want to be watching this time to periapsis. 25x now, and 8.2. We're spending 16.4 minutes at this point in the atmosphere. Yeah, that's a significant increase over what we were spending last episode. So that is phenomenal. So are we expecting this to be 884.5? Let's keep an eye on that. 884.5 would mean losing about 200 meters per pass on the periapsis. That's huge. That would be astounding. I'm expecting more like 100, but let's see what this gets to. 886. 885. 884.7. 6. 5. And that's low in the 5s, too. So we're looking at like 170, 180, somewhere in there per pass on the periapsis. That's remarkable. That means that this orbit is going to decay pretty quickly. I don't have an estimate on number of orbits for that decay, but it's definitely going to be up there. So that's absolutely phenomenal. Let's get our solar panels extended back out here, of course, and we'll take this around for another pass as soon as we're high enough out of the atmosphere. About 923 appears to be when it allows us to warp. So that looks good. So this is 20, 22, and yep, there we go, 23. So let's take this for another pass, and at this point, I'm just mostly interested in verifying that periapsis drop. Is this now going to be 884.3? If so, that is tremendously huge. If it's 884.4, that's maybe closer to like 150 meters, but even that is still very good. That would be phenomenal. Okay, so let's bring ourselves on in to the periapsis here. Of course, each pass, we're spending more and more time in the atmosphere. And so that means that while the orbital period is getting shorter, from our perspective, each pass is getting longer. Because when we're out of the atmosphere, we're warping at 2500x. And when we're in the atmosphere, we're warping at 10x. So we're about to get to the periapsis here. 0.4, 0.3. And it's low 0.3 too. Okay. Beautiful. So yeah, it's like 180 meters. That's tremendous. Every 5 passes, in theory, certainly every 6 passes, we're going to drop a kilometer on the periapsis. I really like that. Again, if I had a little more fuel, I would have dropped our periapsis by like an additional 10 or 20 kilometers, but this is the best we've got, unfortunately, for this particular run. We ran out of fuel, and all we can do at this point is just trust the physics. Okay, let's warp around for another pass here. There we go. We're going to be down below 884 at this rate very, very quickly. Like 2 more passes. So that's wonderful. Let's stow all of these, and off we go on the warp. So we're down to 1536 on the apoapsis now. Of course, our overall goal is to get that down to like 930 would be just above the atmosphere. If we want that to be in the atmosphere, it's like 925, somewhere around there. That would mean we're in a fully captured decaying orbit. And that would be ideal, but we have a ways to go before that. No doubt about that. I don't think we're going to be captured this episode, unfortunately. Next episode? Definitely. It will definitely be next episode. So that's fantastic. We're about to the periapsis here. 884.1. Beautiful. Love it. So yeah, it's definitely above 150. It's perhaps closer to 200 than 150. Maybe even like 190. We don't really have the data resolution to be able to say for sure. But that's great. I want to keep an eye on this. So our current drag force is, yeah, no change in the drag force with our solar panels, whether that's open or closed. That is confirmed. So the drag is just assuming that the solar panels are open at all times. Wild. That seems like an oversight from the devs and something that could be exploited. I don't think we should try to, but, you know. At the same time, I mean, it's just always in the better case scenario, right? So, whatever. Unless you don't want drag, in which case it's always in the worst case scenario. So that's exciting. Okay. We are now at 8.6 minutes. So 17.2 minutes spent in the atmosphere now. That has gone up by almost a full minute in this episode. Not bad at all. We are absolutely spending more and more time in this atmosphere. We're really starting to see some returns here. So that's great. We're now down to 1519, and let's see what that gets to by the end of this. I didn't look at what it was at the very beginning of this pass, but we might be above 15 now. We might be pushing 18. I don't think we're quite going to get below 1,500 kilometers on this pass, but it could be close. So that would be phenomenal. 883.3 883.9 is likely on this pass. Let's see what happens here. Yep, there it is. 883.9. 883.8. Oh. So that indicates there could be a rounding issue there, but that indicates that we are very, very likely over 200 meters of drop on the periapsis side per pass at this point. That's huge. If we see this at 883.6 now, or even 883.5, although I don't think it's much over 200, I think it'd be like 205 or something like that. But even so, that's really good. I'm very pleased by that. That means that this is going to take less time than anticipated, which is a very, very good thing, of course. We're definitely going to get below 1500. We're at 1504 right now. So let me just mark that down here. So 1504 looks good. And let's stow our solar panels and let's cruise on through for our like 17.2 minutes here that we're going to be in the atmosphere. The percentage of our time in orbit being spent in the atmosphere is getting a lot higher. No doubt about that. It's quite a lot higher, in fact. I think it's well over 10% of the orbit at this point. I'd have to run the math, but yeah, it would be something like that probably. So the question here is 884.6. Let's find out. That's 885 right there. 883.6 is what we're targeting here. That's right. So that's 7, that's 6. About mid 6, I think. That felt about mid 6. Not bad. So yeah, I think we're definitely very close to 200 meters on the periapsis per pass. Very, very close indeed. That's phenomenal. And in terms of what we're losing here, we've already lost 14 kilometers. And we'll still lose a little more. So that's 15 kilometers right there. And then, are we going to lose a 16th? We very well might. Yeah. That's 16. I don't think we're going to lose a 17th. But that was 16 kilometers shaved off. I like it. That's phenomenal. So we can warp again, and let's go. This time is 1488. Cool. And then we're expecting 883.4 approximately on the periapsis. So let's monitor that as we go in. Get our solar panels stowed away. How are we doing on that power? Still at 98%. Okay. So no real problem there. We have a very small net drain on the power. I'm not very concerned about it. So that seems absolutely wonderful. Let's continue this pass. We're down to 1486 on the apoapsis, so we've dropped 2. And everything is looking absolutely phenomenal at this point. We just need to continue to slow down a bit. We can see our surface velocity is still increasing as we're approaching the periapsis. This is not surprising at all. We're about to hit periapsis, so 883.765 and 4. Low 4. We were mid 6 last time. That was low 4. Okay, so we're looking at like 225 meters or so on the periapsis per pass, I feel like. Beautiful. That is absolutely phenomenal. Note how we haven't used any heat shield at all yet. We will get there. Okay, let's go ahead and extend out our solar panels. Need to get this one. There we go. And we're at 1472 kilometers right now. That's 16 kilometers shaved off. We're going to get another one? No. Okay. We're going to warp around 16 kilometers. That's great. That number is increasing, and it's going to be increasing on an exponential basis. As is the reduction of our periapsis, for the record. So we're feeling like we're at about 225 right now on the periapsis reduction, and that's great. That means every 4 passes, in theory, we should be losing approximately a kilometer. That's assuming it was at 250, right? Rounding it to 250, but I don't think we're quite at 250 per pass, but it's going to be going up every single pass. So that's very, very good to note. So we were at 1472 for this one when we started this, and let's cruise on through. Checking in on the periapsis on the pass here, we are expecting this to be 883.1, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't know. The numbers are blurring together a little bit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Mid 1. Okay. So mid 1 means that it's like 190-ish on that pass, I feel like. It's a little awkward. But, yeah. These are very rough estimates, right? There's no doubt about it. Very, very rough. We don't have particularly accurate data here to work from. But we're definitely seeing significant amounts of drag increase as we do this. So that is absolutely wonderful. We are delighted to see that. So our apoapsis is currently 1455. We started at 1472 on that pass. And we're going to take this right on around. Okay, so 1455 is, of course, 17 kilometers dropped off. So that's great. We are absolutely delighted about that. This is definitely getting more and more efficient as we do this. So 17 kilometers dropping off. We've got a ways to go yet, but that's phenomenal. We're definitely seeing marked progress here, and that's what we like to see. Let's take another pass here. We're expecting 882.9, although, yeah, I am actually expecting 882.9. I was going to hedge that and say that it might be 883.0, but I think that this is going to be 882.9 based on observations. Although it might be mid or high 9. We'll see. So 892, 891, 890. We've got a ways to go here. 896, 895, 894, 893, and there's 892.9. That felt like low 882.9. Nice. Very good. Very, very good. So, of course, we're down to 1442 kilometers on the periapsis. We'll lose more, but that's already 13. 14. 15. 16. We're going to see a 17th, but are we going to see an 18th? That's the question. I think quite possibly. So there's 1438. Nice. That's 17. Do we see an 18th? It's got to be close. But I don't think it's quite going to happen. Yep, not happening this time. Very, very close. No doubt about it. We can give this one more aero brake pass, but we're going to need quite a lot more of them. As I promised, I am going to be doing more of these off camera, and we'll be very, very close to aero capture, hopefully at the start of next episode. Hopefully it won't take a crazy amount of time. That would be the ideal. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Andy McGard, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.